Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today we're looking at X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. So this is the 1997 game that I suppose is the third installment of the X-Wing TIE Fighter series. None of these Star Wars LucasArts games really had a consistent branding from their first game. Odd that Star Wars would not be branded appropriately, but I guess that's pretty consistent. So I decided not to show the intro because it's incredibly loud and there's no configuration to fix it. Even now, like, I've got the audio here set pretty low and it's still not low enough, and these volume settings go pretty large jumps. So, okay. That's as low as I can get it. So, this game, unlike the other games, didn't even have any single-player storyline to it. And that's sad, because I really thought that this next game, giving it another 2 years after the TIE Fighter series, would have really let them maybe improve on the level design and the gameplay, and maybe a little bit of improvement on the story. Although, to be fair, I've just spotlighted all the previous games, so maybe there is a really good story in there once you get going, if you can get past the first level, which I haven't been able to. The good news is we're playing the bundle, which on Wikipedia says includes 2 expansions, but as far as I can tell, there actually is only 1 expansion. And that 1 expansion does add a little bit of single player. We've got a completely different menu here. So this is a whole different system from a whole different company. The same company that made the remasters for X-Wing and TIE Fighter. But we're still going with 640 by 480. And this is still such an old school game. Even though this would have been Windows 95, they're having the screen resolution versus the window size in case your graphics card can't really handle 640 by 480 or can only handle 256 colors, or even your monitor very possibly couldn't handle those resolutions or that number of colors. There's a whole bunch of other stuff here. I don't want to change the 3D hardware just in case that crashes again. There's a whole bunch of multiplayer different options, which is weird. A lot of volume options, but no master volume. If you're going to have more than 2 volume options, you need a master volume on top of that. Joystick options are back to what I would suspect is like half supported things. There's some button equipped, it seems, to every joystick controller except for the POV, but I'm not sure if that is enough, because you can see there's quite a lot more going on here as far as buttons on the keyboard. So it's still that same. You're gonna need a either really expensive setup to map every single key to, or you're going to need to use the keyboard. You can put custom taunts for the multiplayer, and that's really all this originally was you can fly solo and do some solo training in the original game, or you host a game, or you join a game. And I imagine, like any other game where it doesn't have dedicated servers, there's really no reason why this wouldn't work. Of course, if I was to click join game, I would have to set up all of that stuff, and I don't want to do that. Interesting, the audio broke. It says it's version 2.0. You can switch between being a rebel or an Imperial pilot, and that really wouldn't change anything so much. You don't have a top ace character, so first thing it asked me to do is type in my user ID, pilot name, and I did that. And so it seems to me, the way this screen is depicted, like there's either maybe 5 missions between 4 different things, or there's something else that this breaks down into. It could be maybe the first mission you do gives you 1 reward, and then the next 5 gives you another reward. Allegedly there's like 15 missions in here, which would be possibly 25 on each side, which that still doesn't quite break in. Pilot ranking, we can see there's things here, but nothing that I've gotten since I've actually played. Haven't actually played it. There's actual achievements, which is surprising because the concept of achievements aren't really a big thing. And then there are campaign medals, which maybe this is just going to be a long list of things. So I would say this menu is a mess. It's probably a little bit better than the previous games, and I really just wish that music was gone. But yeah, this is quicker to actually get into a game and actually play, but it kind of sucks for any immersion or any art. If there is a demo cutscene that plays before this game loads, it was so loud I didn't want to watch it, so I've always just hit a button to skip it. There are some cutscenes here at some point that have been added because of the Collector's Edition 2.0. But without that, all you would have been able to do is training exercises for the Rebel and Pilot, so it's just always toggle back and forth, which you would have, if you could not get online, if you didn't have a modem or a LAN connection, or a LAN party going on. This is really one of these games in its original versions that would have sucked horribly, because there would have been barely 5 things you could have done. There are melee missions here. Seems like you can actually select from quite a few, so perhaps the 2.0 version did give you some different take-your-pick options here. That's probably better. It solves the problem of running into the first mission in X-Wing and TIE Fighter and just not being able to even beat that first level. Even after 3 different attempts, I still was not able to accomplish the goals. We don't have a double cursor. That's nice. In fact, we have a kind of interesting custom cursor. But the custom cursor does not change to a TIE Fighter when you switch to TIE Fighting. Interesting. Next, there are tournaments. So you've got a selection here. But it really is going to come down to if the game launches at all, which I assume it will, hopefully, fingers crossed, and how much of this you really want to play or can play. There's battle missions also. Not very many battle missions, though. In fact, have I been showing everything here? Maybe I haven't. Maybe I haven't. Seems like there's slightly more than average combat engagements. So this might be where they come back and say they have 50 levels, because there's slightly different scenarios. But for me, it's all going to be about the campaigns. And it seems like for this, there's really only one campaign on the mission list you can do. And we're gonna do this on easy unless there's a very easy. Easy with cheat. I might need that. This music is so repetitive though. They didn't even give you a second of peace until they started cycling it over again. There's a craft database, so yes, we can look at the crafts, and in all fairness, this does look like it's slightly better graphics, like 2 years of improved 3D models, and they have more lighting and shadows on them than what I bet the previous game had. And there's a decent amount of this. I wish there was a way you could just click and drag this though. Like, that seems really ridiculous. And this seems to be all the crafts in one page, so you don't have to switch between Imperial and Rebel ships to see them all. Again, though, this is away from X-Wing, in which I was showing the inside schematics of the ships and targeting, making it seem like you could target the inside of ships, and they're just showing you the textures that would have been in the game. So this is a Y, let's see, this is a YT-1300 Corellian transport, is what the Millennium Falcon is supposed to be. Of course, the Solo movie indicated that this is not the way it originally looked, and so this is now no longer canon because of a movie that came out probably a decade later, or 2 decades later. These look okay. They're certainly not modern standards of 3D graphics or anything like that, though. It's not something you'd really want to play if this was brand new and for sale today. Quick start or begin? That's confusing. Let's go with begin. Okay, so we're getting the loading with incredibly loud sound effects here. Again, I bet I'm gonna have to hit escape and turn this all down. So let's see if there's something here to adjust. Config sounds. No, everything seems like it's here. Interesting. It seems like the begin was showing me a cutscene, but it's too loud, so I'm just gonna skip it. And then it brought me back to this menu to click fly. That is really ridiculous. This feels very half-assed, frankly. So I'm gonna hit T, and I'm gonna focus this way, and I'm gonna start seeing if I can hit some buttons and see what some of this does. A still shoots. Okay, so if I pull the right trigger, that's full speed. But then when I let off, because of the way Xbox One controllers is configured, that brings me to 50% speed. So that's no good. Right bump and left bump seem to be doing nothing. Right stick click seems to still do 2/3 penalty. Left stick click seems to match speed of the target. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And I'm not really sure there is a mission, so let's see. B. We all have a beam system. The graphics look a little bit better. We're at higher resolution. This is a different ship. Looks like it's a little bit easier. I am using the export.
Message from mission critical craft. They've started their boarding operation. Message
Rogue 3 is a friendly craft. Rogue 4 is friendly craft, friendly craft, friendly craft, friendly craft. Our base, friendly craft, friendly craft. So it's even telling you mission critical craft, enemy craft. So we finally found an enemy craft over here. Like, the graphics are better, but I kind of would prefer to just play this than this. But what I'm looking for is still a, like, I for instructions, no. Q is to quit. M is a map. But B is not briefing. So, is it G for goals? Yes. Objectives accomplished, medium transport, complete mission. Any containers from being destroyed. Okay. So I'm trying to get in a dogfight, but I'm really far away from him. And I'm going at a 100% speed. And yeah, this really is just, again, like partial controller support. That's all I can really give this.
Message from mission critical craft. They've completed their boarding operation.
I don't feel like you're moving fast enough with the thrusters in this to actually be able to dogfight and move around for this game. Like, I cannot. Like, I've got to match the speed of the guy to even have a chance. And then apparently that target was destroyed, so then I have to hit T to try and find another one. This is working better. And like we so far have not been told we've failed. Hit F9 to recharge our cannons. Like, but this is ridiculous. It really is. Like, nobody with a standard just PlayStation or Xbox controller is really gonna want to spend the effort to try and map all the keys from the keyboard to an Xbox One controller or a PlayStation controller. Sure, if you have a POTOS setup of some sort, if you've spent $1,000 on a throttle and analog sticks and everything to play flight simmers, then yeah, that would make sense. I forgot to match the speed with this new target. Let's see, how much of my laser up? Wow, that's like the first time I've actually hit anything, I think. My accuracy is terrible. I wonder if the game will actually give me an accurate accuracy rating. Because I am just shooting blind in space, which I imagine is what you would do. Is in any kind of dogfight or anything, you'd probably more often than not be putting down suppressing fire, just trying to throw them off their game, more than actually hoping to lock on and hit.
Message from our base. They're under starfighter attack.
Now, I happen to have some knowledge of how World War II planes worked from just random sources, and even in World War II, they had adjustable targets where the center of the dot would computer automatically via computer lock on to the target and adjust. So the fact that I'm having to manually move my target in the forward direction of these
completed their boarding operation.
The fact that I can't just put my dot on these guys is ridiculous. Because Star Wars is supposed to be like future technology. Like there's really no reason why it shouldn't be adjusting for this. Like, that's ridiculous. And by the time it turns green, there's a good chance I've already hit it once.
Message from mission critical craft. They're under starfighter attack.
But this level is actually working. So what I imagine is going to happen here in a second is either my ship that I'm supposed to be protecting is going to blow up, or and it's going to say mission over, you failed to protect the main ship, or something else, or I'm going to blow up myself because my hull has been damaged way more than I think it has, or I've been taking hits even though I don't think I have. We've been playing, according to the clock, this level for like 8 minutes, and there's still a problem here. It is taking like 8 hits.
They started their boarding operation. Message from our base. They've been boarded.
Yeah, our base is getting boarded. We're getting attacked, and me as one individual possible hotshot. Alright, so that was a bad idea because of that. And let's see, what was the button that went to full power? I don't think there is a button that we have mapped on the control that goes to full power. So if I want to go full power, I either have to figure out what that button is, or move on. Keep it up. Another transport just made it to life speed. Wow, it seems like I'm actually succeeding here. This is really surprising. But there is problems here. The music is playing over and over again. Let's hit escape for a second. Nothing happened when I hit escape. Okay. So there's no menu. Start, maybe that was the button that got full speed.
Message from mission critical craft. They're under starfighter attack.
I feel like I hit that a lot of times. It's just a lot of ships here.
Message from mission critical craft.
And I guess this is
completed their boarding operation.
So I don't know if we're doing the boarding or if the other people are doing the boarding. And like I see just a couple of more red spots. Let's see, if I was gonna hit this, I have no idea. Just target them all, I suppose. Like, it's just way too many hits to destroy a ship. Like, is this a completely different class of ship? Am I not really supposed to be attempting to attack the guy at all? I'm about to hit something. Like, I might be taking hits right now, for all I know. Take note that there's really nothing behind me either. So, like, it doesn't seem like there's a way to look behind you. You know what this music reminds me of more than anything? is like the airplane music from the movie Airplane that just plays obnoxiously over and over again, and I think that was the joke in it. I'm not seeing anything, so I don't know if I'm in the wrong place, or like that's not the right target, I don't think. Friendly craft, friendly craft, friendly craft, friendly craft, friendly craft, friendly craft. Our base. Friendly craft, friendly craft, friendly craft, friendly craft, enemy craft. There we go. Just have to hit T until you get to the right one. There it is, way over there. Alright, so let's see what start does. Yeah. Start on the control pad goes to full throttle. And then back on the control pad goes to 1/3.
Outstanding. The mission is a success.
Look at that! We've actually succeeded. So, enemy craft, enemy craft, enemy craft, enemy craft, enemy craft. Friendly craft, friendly craft, friendly craft, friendly craft, friendly craft, friendly craft, friendly craft. Our base, where is it? Look at that. Like, the most complicated part, boy, did that planet just seem like it jumped all over the place. So, the most complicated part of any flight sim would be takeoff and landing, and this game does not seem like it cares about that at all. So, I mean, what do you do with that? Let's see. Alright, so how do I land? See, do you press space to land? Am I supposed to just get closer? I'm using the left trigger to be at like 1/3 thrusters and just not crash. I seriously doubt I'm supposed to land this thing. And clearly there are some tricks here. Like, I am super close to this base. H. Preparing a jump for hyperspeed. So it wasn't go back to the base so much as go to hyperspeed. And wait a minute. Mission victory. We did a bunch of bonuses. The only thing we did is we didn't prevent containers from being destroyed. And it seems like it just kind of goes on forever. Alright, so which one is 0? That's 0. Alright. Let's see. Am I supposed to really land here? And this doesn't seem like they really animated anything like this. So G or Q, press space to end mission. So maybe you have to hit Q. Excellent work. The station's crew has all been successfully evacuated. Unfortunately, many of the crews have suffered serious injury due to the heavy bombardment of the station underwent. Before they can join the rest of the forces, they will need immediate medical attention. Therefore, the medical frigate Redemption has been dispatched in the rendezvous location selected. Rogue Squadron will now be heading to the patrol and to cover the next operation. Be on your guard. The Emperor's forces have been pouring in the sector like mad. And so that would be just continue the campaign. Let's look at our statistics. We got an award even for fair performance. It took us 13 minutes and 29 seconds. Unfortunately, like, taking a step back, this is still kind of the same game and the same problem. I don't like fly around space simulators, and this is definitely a fly around space simulator with no takeoff and landing. Also, we're not getting any voices here because they didn't even care about it, and like, all of this story was added extra. So here's the thing. I'm gonna have to abort this campaign, and then I'm gonna have to switch to this, and I guess I could continue this campaign. But the thing I want to see here is how different is the next level playing as a TIE fighter, because this should be really, really different. But I don't feel like that it should be. It should be really, really different. It should feel like a completely different game. We'll just skip that again. But there's really no other gameplay here. So, and we're not going to play this entire level. Yeah, you're still in space. You're still hitting T to target. And then T to target, 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 T to target. T. There's like nobody here. There's an enemy satellite. What's the goal? We can look at that. We need to board all of the ships, all destroyed. Alright. So let's hit G to turn that off. All the talking is happening at the top of the screen instead of in dialogue. This is actually worse than the CD-ROM collection versions of the other games. You see, this thing I'm supposed to be targeting, like, it's just like a satellite that I would have to get a lot closer to. You can't just put a dot on something and start shooting it. Well, you probably could, but it's not going to really work. The engine noise is incredibly loud here, too. This is really, really annoying. Yeah, and let's see, we're going at 100% speed. You can't hit escape to get any options. I hit something. I don't know if I was supposed to hit something or not. Apparently. Well, that's enough for me of that. So, let's see what this says. Seems like that just considered it as a case if we didn't finish the level at all. We just aborted it. Although it is saying failed mission. And I guess I was supposed to destroy those comms. But what you don't see here is you don't see any like point where you're playing as a character instead of just a person in a spaceship. That's not what this game is. You don't see any point where you are in spaceships and you're in the atmosphere of any of the planets, so they've kind of missed half the tricks of Star Wars in general. Like, Star Wars movies, it's 50% you're in atmosphere, you're in a planet, you're avoiding rocks, you're maybe doing some pod racing or something. that making it look different visually than just a black background with stars. And then usually in Star Wars, if you are in a black background with stars, it's because it is the big ships, or it is a giant dogfight, and that is just one aspect that they're trying to recreate here. Again, for 1997, I could definitely see why people would have been fans of particularly the collector's CD-ROM editions of X-Wing and TIE Fighter, and then people particularly getting kind of suckered into this and kind of happily playing this too, because 2 years later you probably had played all the missions at least a couple times. Remember, computers were really expensive, so you're paying the equivalent, or more likely your parents are paying the equivalent of $3,000 or $4,000 for a PC. Getting one game to last is a big deal. I really don't see anything here different. Like, even compared to TIE Fighter, it doesn't seem like there's really going to be a lot of training exercises that you'd actually want to play. Although the training exercises in TIE Fighter weren't that good either. So we could go back to pilot records and reset this. I'm 75% towards my next promotion already. Interesting, after that one level. So, I don't know, like, theoretically, there are 50 missions in this. I don't know if I really believe there are 50 missions worth playing in this. Honestly, for me in particular, I know there are 0 missions that I really want to play in this. And it's the same thing every time. It's like, even if I was a big fan of Star Wars, this game is by far the furthest away from Star Wars than any of the others, because it is just a flight sim game with Star Wars paint over it. You're not getting any story about any character that you really care about, and that kind of sucks. At least in comparison to The Force Unleashed, which is the one Star Wars game series I kind of liked, although the Clone Wars game wasn't too bad either. Both of those were about characters, and they were about characters that I had no idea who they were before I started playing the game, but they told a story, and they gave me something interesting to do. This game isn't going to tell me a story, and it's not going to give me any interesting characters either, I'm pretty sure. And the voice acting is a real step down. Like, the fact that there isn't voice acting in this just means it was definitely done on the shoestring budget. And the weird thing is, there's at least one more X-Wing game in the series that I know of, maybe 2. So I'm hoping maybe a couple more years. Maybe they took a break between 1995 to hand it over to a new company, because this is no longer LucasArts making them, and maybe that gave LucasArts more time to think about what they're going to do with this series. The sad truth is, though, even when I was buying the Star Wars games on Steam, I knew 90% of them were not going to be my thing. The real shame will be when I actually try to play like Knights of the Old Republic and find that unplayable in a modern time. But personally, also again for me, even if this was brand new and it looked like a brand new 2019 game, it still wouldn't be my type of game. So it's hard to continuously evaluate these games. I'm trying my best. This level design wise is so far the best one, because I've actually been able to finish a level. It was a lot easier. It seems like you could keep on playing that level for quite a long time, if not forever. The controls are better, certainly, but still not full controller support. Not for what is considered a full controller these days, which is either a PlayStation controller or an Xbox controller. And yeah, I'm particularly disappointed in the things that are missing in this game compared to the previous games. That should not have happened. This feels a lot like some of the Call of Duty and Battlefield games that have stripped out the single player experience and only sold multiplayer, or vice versa. There have been some games that have had multiplayer crammed into them, and thus there was less of a focus on the single player content. Anyways, I'm tired of hearing this music, so that's going to be it for this spotlight. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.